Don't chew on that, Max.
Cooper loves that chew too.
Oh, now he's into Cooper's food. Wow, he is loving it. What do you feed Cooper?
Blue Buffalo Life Protection Formula. He never leaves a crumb. I love it because it's made with high-quality protein, nutrient-rich fruits and veggies, and wholesome whole grains.
Looks like we're switching to Blue.
Blue Buffalo foods are made with the superior ingredients your dog needs to thrive. Can your dog food say that? Visit feedbluefood.com to learn more.
Hey, what's up? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of English with Dane, a podcast designed specifically to help Spanish speakers feel good about their English. Today's episode is all about vocabulary. We're going to read through some headlines, algunos titulares, some headlines, with the goal of running into words, phrases, or expressions that we didn't know before, que no conocíamos antes, that we didn't know before. We are hunting for vocabulary, essentially. If you haven't noticed by now, this is the first episode on video of English with Dane, and I'm pretty excited, not gonna lie. It's been a long time coming. Buena expresión, it's been a long time coming. All right, let's just do this thing. Let's get into it. You are listening to episode 23 of season 2 of English with Dane. Hit it. Okay, we have officially started the show, so let's get into our first headline. A ver qué ha pasado por ahí. Our first headline reads, "I'd be so mad. Influencer called out for making homemade pasta from scratch on a plane." Okay, right off the bat, de primeras, right off the bat, to get called out or to be called out is when someone publicly points out, señala, points out someone's mistake, bad behavior, or hypocrisy. So this influencer got called out, when phrasal verb. Let's keep reading. An influencer has riled up thousands of people on TikTok after posting a video of herself making homemade pasta from scratch, desde cero, from scratch, on a plane 30,000 feet in the air. To get riled up spelled R-I-L-E-D, means to become angry, agitated, or excited, usually over something small. So an influencer has riled up thousands of people after posting a video of herself making homemade pasta from scratch. In the video, the foodie and pasta guru Katie Brooks, who goes by the name Buona Pasta Club, mixes flour and water together in a bowl while the plane is cruising through the clouds. She then rolls it into a dough, una masa, a dough, cuts it into small blocks using a knife, and shapes it using a tiny wooden pasta board. How she got the knife on the flight, I don't know. POV, you hate airplane food so much you make it yourself, the influencer, who has more than 225,000 followers on TikTok, wrote in text on the screen. It was obviously meant to be a joke to get views to her pasta page, but the video has racked up a whopping 11.5 million views, and people aren't happy in the comments, para variar. Some people are arguing that making pasta on a plane is super unhygienic, while others say it's just rude and annoying for the person sitting next to you. Unhygienic. Ojo con esa pronunciación. Repítele un par de veces para que te acuerdes. Unhygienic. Quote, "I don't know how people don't realize the airplane is the most unhygienic place," one person wrote. Another said, "I'd lose my mind sitting next to this person." "Normalize remembering you're in public again," someone else commented. A fourth person added, "Imagine sitting next to this person. I'd be so mad they're getting flour everywhere while I'm trying to nap." Some people are concerned that there could be celiacs in the surrounding seats who are allergic to gluten, and the flour floating around could be a real threat for them. Others think it's just downright stupid because she can't even cook the pasta. So what's the actual point? TikTok views, that's the point. And it clearly worked. Downright, qué buena palabra. Downright is a word that usually comes before, que viene antes, that comes before an adjective in order to emphasize it. In this case, downright stupid. Downright is spelled like down and right, como derecha, downright, todo junto. So basically, downright means completely, absolutely, or to an extreme degree. Some common collocations for downright, so words that appear with it the most, are things like downright rude, downright dangerous, or downright ridiculous if we're talking about negatives, and downright hilarious, downright brilliant, or downright delicious if we're talking about positives. So from that story, we got a few new additions to our vocabulary arsenal to get called out, to get riled up, and downright. Nice. Let's read our second headline of the episode. For this one, we go to Washington, D.C., all the way to the White House. I love this headline, by the way. It says, White House insists Stephen Miller does not play with dolls, con muñecas. I can't believe this is real. What a great headline. For context, Stephen Miller is the current White House Deputy Chief of Staff, so he's basically the right hand, la mano derecha, the right hand of the Chief of Staff, el jefe de gabinete. Here's the rest of this glorious article. It says, the White House would like the public to know that Stephen Miller definitely does not play with dolls. Miller, who has driven some of President Donald Trump's most controversial policies from his perch, or from his role as Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, was the focus of an unflattering Rolling Stone profile Sunday. If something is unflattering, con doble T, it is something que no te hace quedar bien. So presenting someone in a way that is not attractive, not favorable. So Rolling Stone put out an unflattering profile of him. It continues and says, inside the West Wing, the hot-tempered advisor is apparently a fixture of backroom chatter. So the gossip that happens behind the scenes, with Trump officials and Republicans close to the president, quote, paranoid that Miller will one day hear them gossiping about him behind his back. Even today, Miller, who is 40 years old, reportedly remains the target of nicknames among those in Trump world, burlándose de, mocking his high-strung demeanor and domineering presence in the White House. Qué buen adjetivo compuesto ahí. High-strung, refiriéndose a su actitud o comportamiento, su demeanor. High-strung means like hipersensible, irritable, nervioso, tenso, etc. Sigo. It says, one intense motherfucker, a longtime Trump advisor, told the outlet, La Publicación, the outlet, which noted that attempts by Miller's friends to, quote, make him sound gentler, kinder, or funnier often fall flat. To fall flat means to not work at all, to not have the desired effect. So even Trump himself has insulted Miller behind his back, Rolling Stone reported, citing two sources, fuentes, with direct knowledge on the matter. First of all, I love that his friends have tried to make him sound gentler, kinder, or funnier, but haven't been able to, pero no han podido. They haven't been able to. I imagine people talking to him, having meetings with him like, hey man, you have to tone it down, te tienes que relajar, you have to tone it down because this isn't working. People hate you. And then I love that people are making fun of him behind his back and spreading these types of rumors, because you know that if people are making things up like this to piss him off, para calentarle, to piss him off or to make him upset, he must be such a pain in the ass to work with. So, some good words there too. We got unflattering, high-strung, backroom chatter, and hot-tempered we didn't mention, but you get what it means. You know I love those compound adjectives, esos adjetivos compuestos. Yo creo que te hacen quedar muy bien, como que pilotas bastante. We'll do a quick vocabulary recap at the end of the episode, so please don't stress about it too much if you don't remember all of these words. Okay, one more headline before we finish up. For this one, we go to Pennsylvania to see a man about an alligator. The headline reads, emotional support alligator is no longer welcome in Pennsylvania Walmart. ¿Qué estamos haciendo? A Western Pennsylvania man and his emotional support alligator took a shopping cart spin around the local Walmart where he claims they've never had a problem. But this recent trip earned them orders to stay away, the retail giant confirmed on Thursday. Wesley Silva, 60 years old, and his 5-foot-long, 32-pound reptile named Jinyoshi made the local news after a trip to a Walmart in West Brownsville where he pushed the alligator around in a shopping cart as she was wearing a dress. Real quick, this is an interesting use of the verb to make. In this case, it means to succeed in being included in something or to be a part of something. So if you make the news, es como que logras salir. If you make the team, logras formar parte de un equipo, usually after some sort of test or tryouts. So yeah, this man and his alligator made the news. Seguimos. Before concerns about the recent visit were raised, Silva insisted that he and Jinyoshi experienced nothing but praise, puros elogios o cumplidos, nothing but praise. He said, "We have been going to that Walmart for about 3.5 years, and normally the reaction is, 'That's pretty cool,' or 'That is awesome that you have a pet alligator, man.'" A Walmart spokesperson, though, was far less effusive and said Jinyoshi and any other gators aren't welcome inside the stores. "The safety of our customers and associates is our highest priority," Walmart said. "We welcome service animals in our stores, but it is unacceptable to expose members of the public to potential danger." Claro. Silva said that he got the alligator from a neighbor who couldn't care for it anymore and gave it to him, se lo dio. Now Jinyoshi spends much of her days in a pool outside and nights in a bathtub of water. Ojo a esto. Before Jinyoshi arrived, Silva already had a zoo's worth of reptiles in his animal family, including 6 snakes, a leopard gecko, a Komodo dragon, an ocellated skink, and a second alligator. I also didn't know what an ocellated skink was, by the way, in case you're definitely wondering. Y luego pone esto. He also has a dog. Silva, a pastor at a Baptist church and a Brethren church, stopped just short of calling his worship of reptiles a holy act. Tampoco te pases. In the Bible, God talks about us having dominion over animals, and I developed an affinity for the reptiles, said Silva, the father of 5 children. Y además, con 5 hijos. I find them very soothing. The reptile collection started 3 years ago when a daughter wanted a snake. I held it one night, and I just kind of started really bonding with it and holding it, he said. And finally, she gave me an ultimatum. Dad, really, you need to get your own snake. Okay, I don't really know what to say after reading that. I think I do see how reptiles give off, desprenden, they give off a nice chill vibe, but that's too much. Bueno, clearly not for our friend Wesley. A few interesting things in that article that I wanted to point out, though. Just short of is one that I like. To be just short of something means to almost reach a level, amount, or condition, but not quite make it. It's a nice way to say very close, but not fully there. We were just short of our targets. His behavior was just short of rude, y cosas así. To fall short is also something we say too. So it's really similar, but in phrasal verb form. The movie fell short of expectations. His apology fell short. All valid things to say. The way it was used in the article was Silva, a pastor at a Baptist church and a Brethren church, stopped just short of calling his worship of reptiles a holy act. Ojo con la pronunciación de worship, by the way. Worship, not warship. A warship es un buque de guerra. Warship. To worship as in adorar or idolatrar. Ese sonido de vocal, were, should sound like, debería sonar, should sound like when you say were de, where were you? ¿Dónde estabas? We were at home. Ese were es el mismo sonido. Worship. You get it. Sometimes I feel like I over-explain. Tell me if that's the case. I just don't want you having any doubts about the stuff I say sometimes, so I overdo it. If it's annoying, let me know. Leave a comment. So today we learned some new words and phrases. Let's do a quick recap before we finish to give you a better chance of retaining what you heard or watched if you are watching. First video episode ever, by the way. Tell me your thoughts. Is this a better experience than just audio? What do you want me to put up on screen while I'm talking? Please let me know. I want to make this podcast as useful or as helpful as it can be, so don't be shy. Okay, from the first article about the influencer making pasta from scratch on a plane, we picked up to get called out or to be called out when someone publicly points out your mistake, your bad behavior, or hypocrisy. We had to get riled up, so to become agitated or angry, usually about something small, and downright, which is like saying completely or totally. Downright stupid, for example. From the second article about the White House dude playing with dolls, we got unflattering, so presenting someone in a way that is not attractive or favorable. We also got high-strung, someone who is very tense, nervous, or easily upset. Hot-tempered, someone who loses their cool easily. Backroom chatter, so that gossip that goes on behind the scenes, a term that is often used in politics or in business type situations. And then from this last article about the alligator guy at Walmart, it gave us a chance to look at the verb to make, but in a different context, to be successfully included or participating in something like a team or the news. The story about the corruption scandal made the front page, for example. We also talked about the phrase just short of something, so to not fully get to an amount or level. And then we also talked about to fall short as a phrasal verb, which has a very similar meaning. So you can use them in different ways. A friendly reminder: don't put pressure on yourself to learn all of the stuff we talk about on the show. Sometimes it's a lot to take in. Just keep an open mind, stay curious about the language, and always be picking and choosing the phrases, the words, the chunks that stand out to you or that you could see yourself using. That's what it's about. It's about the long term, and everything adds up. Todo suma. Everything adds up. All right, that's it for this episode of English with Dane. Thanks for watching now. Thanks for listening every week. And shout out to the people that have been writing to me and just saying nice things about the show. I really appreciate it. If you like the show, share it with someone you think would also like it. And if you're not subscribed, then subscribe. Let's keep this thing going. All right, see you soon. Later.